what a story. The container ship blocking the Suez Canal for almost a week has finally been dislodged and is floating. Tugboats have spent several hours today trying to free the bow of this massive vessel called the Ever Given after dislodging the stern earlier in the day. Now, if you need a catch up here on this story, this vessel has caused quite the ruckus worldwide, and that's because the 1,300-foot ship accidentally ran aground and became lodged sideways in the middle of the Suez Canal. You can see it right there, literally cutting off other ships carrying vital fuel and cargo from passing through. Now, the Suez Canal is a major trade hub, and about 12% of global trade passes through each day. That's because it's an artificial sea level waterway in Egypt that connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea and essentially allows for trade all the way from Asia to Europe. Well, we have Alex Brill joining us to break this down. He's a former policy director and chief economist at the House Ways and Means Committee. So how much has this blockage cost the world economy? That's a big question here.
Well, thanks for having me, Natasha. As you alluded to, there's a lot of cargo that passes through the Suez Canal every day, roughly $10 billion worth of goods in that canal on a daily basis on average. The 6-day interruption of that passage, that flow, has caused some economic disruption. But we should remember also that it's primarily a delay in the delivery of the shipments of those goods. Now that the canal is open, we should expect the traffic to resume. I think it's resuming already. The goods that are being expected, people are waiting for those, of course, at ports around the world, primarily throughout Europe. They'll get there eventually. But it does highlight the tremendous value and importance of the Suez Canal for global trade.
Of course, and a lot of these businesses had to kind of reroute themselves. Like you said, took them much longer to get their goods from country to country, port to port. Now, which businesses have been impacted the most badly here?
There's a whole host of goods that are held up on these ships. There are over 300 ships that have been delayed, that are waiting to go through. The largest group of them are fuel ships, either ships carrying natural gas or oil tankers that are trying to get either to Europe or to Asia. Obviously in this global economy, we're heavily reliant on these fossil fuels. We're trying to go green, of course. The Suez, in fact, helps the environment and helps us go green because it avoids those ships from having to go around the southern part of Africa, which can add a day or a week, I should say, to an average trip. And hundreds of thousands of dollars of costs. Beyond the fuel, we're seeing all sorts of things being reported, from IKEA furniture to cars made in Asia on their way to Europe, all sorts of goods.
Right, and then there's the issue of the livestock. I mean, we saw horrifying images of animals that were also stranded by that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, there have been certainly a lot of media reports about that. I've heard up to 20 different ships are carrying livestock. Obviously, these delays have particular impact for the conditions on those ships, for those animals. There was a report out of London that the Egyptians either are getting ready or have mobilized some emergency food drops onto those ships, bringing food and water to those livestock. Hopefully, that 6 extra days for those trips aren't going to cause too much harm there.
Well, it really just is horrifying, and it makes you ask a lot of questions to yourself about meat consumption. But where is this ship headed now?
So the ship is being towed or assisted into the Great Bitter Lake, which is adjacent to the Suez Canal. There's a concern that there's been structural damage to the ship. So I think divers are going down to inspect the hull, make sure that the ship is seaworthy and that it can continue on to its final destination.